Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how anybody can take a Makita tracksaw, or any tracksaw for that matter, and make a wood starburst piece like this with whatever word you want on it for your wall, or to make and sell yourself. All the tools that I'm going to use and all the products I'm going to use in this video, I'll have a link in the description down below that shows you how to get them. The majority of it you can actually get right off of Amazon. It's where I buy most of my tools. Okay, so what we're trying to do is take a piece of plywood and this MDF cutout that I actually bought online. There's quite a few of them you can find on Amazon. I'll put a few links below to have different words: family, adventure, our nest, inspire. There's quite a few of them. You can order those, get them sent over. They come in different thicknesses. I actually cut this one down to be a little bit thinner so that it didn't stick out quite as much. But we've got a piece of wood. I've centered it in there, so I've got about 5.5 inches on each side. There's not really any reason why, other than I just thought it would look good. So if you've got a certain space you want it to fit in, then obviously cut it to fit to that size. So we've got this. I've actually sprayed some paint over this so that it's the same color as my borders, which I'll go over how to do afterwards. We've got our piece here. Now we need to cut some of the angle pieces to make up like the starburst, sunrise. Okay, now we need to go over how to make the angle pieces, these little triangle looking pieces that compose the starburst or the sunrises. So you can use anything: pallet wood, old 2x4s, fence boards, barnwood, whatever you've got. If you follow us online, you can see that a lot of what we do is barnwood. We do barnwood feature walls and reclaimed walls and furniture and stuff like that. So we've got these barnwood feature wall planks that we sell for feature walls, and I'm going to use those. They're resawn down to 3/8 of an inch, and they're already uniform in terms of their width. I'm going to use my track saw. This is one of the handiest things you can use your track saw for if you haven't bought a slide saw or something like that. We're going to use the track and the track saw, and we just basically set the track on top of the piece of wood, and we've got our depth set, and we're just going to start cutting angles. They don't have to be uniform. One can be 9 degrees, one can be 14 degrees, one can be, doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, we're just trying to go 360 degrees around the circle, and so they don't have to be exact. If you want to set up a template to make them all exact, you totally can do that. Because the track is a little bit longer or wider than my planks, I set another plank in behind so that it sits flat. And I'm going to set it kind of on top here. I wonder if you can see that. Hold on a sec. So I'm going to set the first plank here, second plank's going here, and I'm just going to set it so that it makes an angle piece. All right, I'll set my track on and I'll cut right through. And there I've got my angle piece. Now I'm going to keep going through this piece of wood and kind of rotate back and forth. I'll do one where it has the wider side here and the shorter and the narrow end there, and then I'll just kind of go back and forth as I work my way down the board. Okay, I don't know what happened, but the last part didn't record, so I'm doing it again. I've already kind of started. What I did was I found the very center point of my board that marks where I want to have all these small little ray pieces fit in. I drew a straight 90-degree line up and down as the start of my reference point, and I've used this PL glue to start laying down some glue, and I'm using my Makita pin nailer, not brad nailer, to tack these all in place while I wait for the glue to dry. So I'm at the stage right now where these are all lining up nice, and I'm going to go around the entire circle. The main benefits of using the track saw for these was, number one, how easy it was. Number two, how straight these lines are and how nice they fit together. And third, when I'm doing this, I'm letting all of these run long. I'm not marking them off and trying to individually cut each one of these to match up with the outside of my piece of plywood. I'll leave them all nice and long, then I'll flip this thing over at the end, and we'll use the track saw to trim them all perfect. It gives you a real professional looking look at the end. Everything's nice and square, and then when we go to put our border on, I actually use a small rabbit cut technique, which I'll show you, and it'll fit over top and actually hide the entire border around the outside, and you end up with a real professional looking product. So if you're looking at making these to sell, you've got a really high quality product, and if you're looking to make them just to put in your house and have fun with them, or make them for gifts for people, again, same thing, they look really good. So I'm gonna keep on going with this, with the PL glue and the brad nailer. We're gonna work our way all around the entire thing, and then I'll show you how we trim and cut it. Okay, really quick here. The reason I use the pin nailer for this one instead of the brad nailer is because some of these pieces at the very end are so thin. When you use the brad nailer, you can start to blow them apart and stuff like that. Also, when you use the pin nailer, you can't really see the nail holes at all. So you can use a brad nailer, or you could just glue and hold it all down. I use a pin nailer. So now what we want to do is we've got all our pieces on and we want to trim that outside. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to grab this, I'm going to flip it upside down like that, and I'm going to grab the track saw. Whoops. I'm going to set the depth on my track now to be lower than, just barely lower than the plywood plus the barnwood. About there. I'm going to set the track right against the edge of the plywood, and then I'll plunge down and cut all these pieces off. Now, we've got a nice looking starburst sunrise deal. My edges are nice. Everything is straight. They're all cut off. All looks like we took a lot of time individually cutting those pieces. So now I want to take my Inspire cutout. I'm going to clean that up a little bit here. I want to mount that right on there, and then put my trim around it. Okay, so now we're going to cut our edging pieces, our border pieces, and what I'm going to do is do a 7/8 by 7/8 rabbet cut out of this, so that it has a nice seat and it sits over top and gives us a nice finish. So all I've done is I've measured out from the fence to the outside of the blade here 7/8, and from the top of my table or my slide here 7/8, and I'm going to do 2 cuts and cut the 7/8 by 7/8 out. So now we've got this little L-shaped deal with the rabbet cut out of it, and it's just going to fit right over top of our plywood and barnwood real nice, and then it'll hide the edge, like it'll hide the border. There won't be, it'll be a nice smooth transition. Okay, so I've got these nice edging pieces cut now, and they're just going to fit right over top and on top of our piece here. And what that does is, if you had a flat, and this is okay too, like the track saw made it a really nice cut, so you actually can just do some flat pieces and nail them on, but you can see that edge all the way along. So just a little extra step, a couple extra cuts, and now you can have it where it hangs over the edge. And if there were any imperfections here, or chips or nicks or cracks or whatever, you would cover that with this. Now I went 7/8 by 7/8 because it was 7/8 high from the top to the bottom on my highest spot. You don't have to, it could have just been like a blade width, just enough to kind of come over and cover it. In any event, what I'm gonna do now, I've already done it right here, cut a 45. I'm gonna do 45-degree miters all the way around this. I'm gonna lay some glue on the inside there, and tack these on, this time with the brad nailer. I'll come in from the outside, not from the top, and afterwards I'll put a little bit of filler on those and some white paint just to kind of cover them up. And then we've got this wrapped in terms of the frame. We'll put the Inspire words on and paint touch-ups, and we got her done. Okay, now last major step is to put the Inspire word on. So when I started, I made the very center of this whole sun or star or explosion or whatever you want to call it, the center of the whole board. And I know that the center of this is about right here in that P. So actually all I'm going to do is heat up my glue gun and then put some glue on and flip it over and keep it level with the P right there in the center, and let the glue dry. And then it's just a matter of some paint touch-ups, a little bit of light sanding, filling some holes. We got ourselves a pretty cool Inspire sign. Okay, and there you have it. That's how you take a Makita track saw and some wood and a little word and make yourself a pretty cool sign.